Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. All this week we're covering the events of Holy Week, what happened between Palm Sunday and Good Friday, Easter Sunday. And of course, on the Thursday night, there was that amazing ministry in the upper room whenever Jesus instituted the Lord's Supper and when Jesus also washed the feet of the disciples. Jesus showed them what it was to be a servant. And as he washed the disciples' feet, he was modeling a kind of leadership that was virtually unknown in his day. You know, there were plenty of people who thought that they were impressive leaders. You had the Pharisees who loved to be seen on street corners declaring how holy they were. You had King Herod with his crowns and his palaces. You had Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, who would come into Jerusalem on a white horse and with trumpets playing and a guard of honor and bodyguards and flags and banners and eagles and everything else. And then you had Jesus, who came into Jerusalem on a donkey and then knelt at the feet of his disciples and washed their feet in probably the most powerful example of servanthood the world has ever seen. Today, secular leadership is learning that the most effective kind of leadership that we can give is that of the servant leader. Secular leadership studies have learned that many of the worldly examples of leadership displayed by politicians and dictators and everybody else, they don't truly lead people. They don't truly take them to places they couldn't otherwise go. It is servant leadership that inspires and leads people forward. And that's why on that same night, whenever Jesus knelt and washed the disciples' feet, he instituted what we call the Lord's Supper, communion, Eucharist, whatever term you want to use for it. But that simple ceremony of breaking bread and drinking from a cup became something that today billions of people around the world observe regularly. Jesus has ended up having an influence that no world leader could ever dream of having anything like that kind of influence, let alone the Pilate and Herod and these people whose names are only remembered because of their connection to the story of Jesus himself. He truly showed us that what true leadership is. God still wants leaders today. You know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be a leader. Jesus said, if you want to be great in God's kingdom, learn to be the servant of all. But the pathway of true leadership is indeed servanthood. And that is the kind of leaders that Jesus would have us to be. Servanthood is not easy. Servanthood, it doesn't come naturally to us. You know, we feel we're being taken for granted. We want people to know that we're better than this, that we're more important than that, and everything else. But no, Jesus showed us that true leadership is servant leadership. Yes, he possessed all power. He was the creator of the world. And yet he knelt at the feet of his disciples and washed their feet. I pray that today, the leaders that you will follow in the body of Christ will be leaders who understand what it is to be servant leaders, because they are the leaders that will enable you to be the most effective and most powerful person you can possibly be. That's what servant leadership produces. And I pray in the areas in which the Lord would use you in leading others, that you will follow the path of servant leadership, the only kind of leadership that has any kind of effectiveness within the body of Christ. You know, we talk a lot about leadership today. There's lots of books about leadership. But Jesus wants us, first of all, to learn to follow him, to obey him. And then he will enable us to be secure enough to serve others. May we learn that lesson today. God bless you. Join us again next time for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.